Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Battle Styles, make sure you go ahead and check out the Poketown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code Omnipoke. For today's video, we are going to be going over a few tips and tricks for the Players' Cup 4. The Players' Cup's a really interesting tournament because there's different stages to the event, and I'll go over the structure in a moment, but it's one of these tournaments that just challenges players in a very unique way, very different to pretty much every IRL event. So you almost have to rewrite the script and really put some thought into different aspects of Pokemon, which you don't typically have to. So let's jump into the tournament structure first of all. Just like the previous Players' Cups, we are going to be dished out some tournament keys on PTGO. You should be able to now enter tournaments and start playing in these tournaments and be able to start using your keys. And it's a best of one single elimination. With closed deck lists, obviously you don't have the information of what your opponent's playing. They don't know what you're playing. And essentially, you get 0 points if you lose the first round. You get... it scales upwards. I think it's 1 point for top 4, 3 and 5, I think it is, if you end up winning the whole thing. And this is running from April 26th till May 26th. So you have a month to play 50 tournaments, and that can be, up to like an hour, I would say, would be if you get all the way to the finals and then play out the finals. It can be like an hour long, so potentially like 50 hours of Pokemon, potentially 150 games if you are able to make the finals of every single one of your keys. So that's a lot of Pokemon you got to play. Even though you have a month to do it, do bear that in mind. Then, if you're able to score in the top 256 of your region, unless you're Oceania, where you have to be top 128, you will enter your region finals. And it's at this stage where you are limited to one deck for the remainder. With the 50 keys, every tournament you enter, you can change up your deck list or just your archetype altogether. But when you're in the region finals, you're finally locked into one deck. And it's open deck list at this stage, so you can see exactly what your opponent's playing, not only their archetype, but you can have full knowledge of what tech cards they're using, what things to look out for. Do I need to play around Marnie? Do I need to play around Scrapper, Reset Stamp? All of these sorts of things are cards you need to bear in mind as you play through the region finals. This is where it becomes a double elimination tournament, so 2 losses and you are out of there, and we trim down from top 256 all the way down to top 16 in each region, and then on the following, or a couple weeks later, on July 3rd, it goes from the top 16 of each region down to top 4 of each region. So that's the first element that is streamed and recorded and then ultimately commentated on for Players Cup 4. Fingers crossed I get invited to do that again, because I was involved in the previous Players Cup for commentary, which was great. And once we have our top 4 of each region, they all come together to enter in the global finals, and that's where things change up again. You have another opportunity to change your deck, and there's the introduction of a whole wave of cards. Chilling Reign is like a 160 card set, so it's a monster set that we're getting, and a pretty impactful set as well, I would say. This is also a double elimination tournament. It's best of 3 open deck lists. I don't know if it's been announced yet if we're going to be doing best of 5 or best of 3 for the finals, because the finals of Players Cup 3 was best of 5. I don't know if it was just for a viewer experience thing, or if it's something that they're doing a one-time deal of, or if it's going to happen again in the future. I don't really know. But at the very least, it will be best of 3 until you get to like winners, losers, and grand finals. And that's going to be on July 17th. So I believe Chilling Reign is coming out on June 18th, but it's not legal for the region finals. It's only the global finals where the new set is introduced. So yeah, there's a lot to take in here. You can be playing, a ton of different decks throughout this one tournament. So you don't necessarily have to be a specialist in one thing. You have to not only prepare for the current standard format, but you also need to be looking towards the future and have a good idea of what impact Chilling Reign is going to have on the game, even with just like 1 or 2 weeks of testing on the ladder. So yeah, really, really interesting tournament, like no other that we've seen. So it really does draw on all sorts of different skills, from deck building, metagaming, obviously in-game play. There's a ton of elements to the tournament, which makes it really unique and interesting. So let's think about the mindset. The mindset really, especially, you got to take things one step at a time. So let's work with our 50 keys first of all. And when we're playing on PTCGO, it is very easy to have distractions. The television could be on, you could be eating snacks, you could be in a Discord call with friends, you could just be listening to music or YouTube or whatever. But try and cut those out. Some people work better with things like music in the background, but I wouldn't have it blaring in your eardrums. I would have a little low key, like instrumental going on in the background if you really are a fidgety person and want to have something there to keep you entertained. But try and eliminate these as much as possible. Try and focus only on the game, because you would hate to end up, being just a few points short of hitting that 256 mark because you didn't give each tournament your full attention. So you certainly want to reduce those distractions. Obviously, you will know yourself better than I know you guys. So, if you feel like you're going to be doing better if you are in a sort of live discussion with other people, in a Discord call or whatever, or if you feel like you're going to be doing better on your own, channeling everything out, that's certainly how I prefer to, that's how I get the best out of myself in terms of a playing perspective. When I play in online tournaments, I try and pretty much shut off everything else and just have my PTCGO open, and normally I have a deck list next to me as well. So yeah, I think definitely taking away the distractions is big. Hydrate, which I'm going to do right now, is definitely an important one, because again, like if you're hungry as well, that goes alongside it. Make sure you're topped up with water. Obviously, it helps your head. It stops you from getting headaches. It helps you stay alert and focused. Same can be said for meal times and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's a really big deal. Whenever I go to like regionals and stuff, I always have like a massive bottle of water with me and some like power snacks as well. So definitely a big deal for sure. Have a warm-up game on ladder. This is something that I do again in regional tournaments, because sometimes you have some sort of like ring rust almost, and you don't want to just jump straight into a game and you're like thrust right in. I think having a quick warm-up game, getting to know your deck, knowing your sequencing, getting into the mindset really of playing Pokemon is a really good deal, and definitely worth doing. So I think having a warm-up game just on a ladder, even if you end up losing, even if you make a mistake, that's good for you, because it means you're just resetting your mind back into that sort of state where you need to be in, where you're focusing a lot, because there's a lot of decision making that goes into every single game of Pokemon, even when they are just 4 or 5 turns, and a lot of things that you can do to maximize your win percentage. So getting into that mentality is definitely worthwhile, and I think a warm-up game certainly helps me at least. Take breaks between keys. Obviously, you could be playing 3 games in a row, and if you're going that long in tournaments, it's definitely beneficial to get up, have a stretch, have a wander, sort of, I don't know, ease it off kind of thing, have a little walk around, and come back to the desk and sit back down and get into the next one. A month gives you a good amount of time to get a lot of games in, so you don't really have to keep insta-clicking and jamming your next tournament as soon as you've won 3. It does feel nice when you're sort of on a heater, but at any moment you could just lose a best of 1. That can just happen, right? So even if something has just gone really well for you, or you think the metagame's in a good place for your current deck right now and you want to just jam as much as possible, I can see how that gets tempting, but it's much easier for you to have a lapse of concentration after you've just played 3 games previously into another 3 games into another 3 games. If you're taking those constant breaks, taking yourself away from the PTCGO, let yourself sort of go over things in your head, what you did well from the previous games, what you think you need to continue to do well on if you lost, or even if you won, there are things that you can reflect on and say that you could have done better. So I think that is also really important, just like you would do if you were in a real life tournament, going away, talking to friends, having that little split between going back into the action is definitely worthwhile, I think. And also, it's something that I know a lot of people can fall victim to. Tilt factor in TCGs is definitely a thing. We are playing with elements of luck as well as elements of skill, and sometimes you can get tilted, and that's where you got to call it a day. And also, if you just find yourself not playing well, if you didn't have a good night's sleep the previous day, if something's playing on your mind, if you've got other things to do and you know that you're sort of procrastinating playing Pokemon, get the other stuff done. Get your real life stuff out the way and let yourself only play Pokemon when you're in the right mindset for it. When you're enjoying the game, you're gonna get more out of it, right? So I definitely think that step away when you're getting tilted is definitely gonna be worthwhile, because otherwise it's just going to be a spiral, and you all know that it just gets worse and worse whenever you're tilted. It rarely, even when you're winning, you're still angry that you won when you're in that tilted mindset. So yeah, time management is a big thing. Like we say, we have a month for these keys, so I think there's no rush. You don't have to be jamming tournaments like 9 games a day from day one. I think, first of all, know your deck list inside and out. Choose a deck. I think 1 or 2 deck lists is all you really need to play these 50 keys in. You could easily just play all 50 with one deck list and become an expert in it. If you have already got your preferences towards 1 or 2 decks, that's fantastic, great for you. But if you aren't comfortable with the deck, don't just jam the best list from Play Limitless the night before. You know, don't just say like, oh, this deck won, I'll take this exact 60, copy paste into PTCGO and start playing that because that's going to give me the best chance to win. The metagame is constantly evolving. There are actually a good amount of viable decks right now in the format. I would say there's at least 8 like very, very good decks in the game right now. So there isn't like a complete correct choice. So anything that you're good with and everything that you're experienced with is going to give you the best chance, realistically. So get comfortable with the list and don't waste your keys on decks while you're learning. Don't be learning on the job. Play ladder to learn, and then when you're in tournament keys, make the most out of them. That's what you have to remember, because you don't have infinite money. You don't have infinite resources. These keys evaporate as soon as you use them. You can only play in 50, so you want to make the most out of those as possible. And yeah, that also means that don't just race through everything at one time. Give yourself that time to get over things, and try not to leave everything to like the last week or the last day, because then you're adding like just internal stresses to yourself. You're thinking, even when you're in game, you're thinking, God, I got to get 3 more done tonight. It's like looking at the watch or whatever, making your opponent play fast to start emoting people and stuff like that. You don't want that sort of vibe going on at all. You want to not jump into the deep end, just sort of nibble away at it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You just want to be doing bit by bit, even if it is just an hour a day. You're easily going to be able to get things done within that time, and take periods off as well. Take a couple of games away from PTCO if you have to. Have a weekend to yourself. Do whatever you want to do. But sort of just trickle through rather than having to grind everything out every single day for like the first week and then be done with a 3-week gap to spare, knowing that you didn't do quite your best just because you wanted to see yourself in that top 256 and then seeing people get eventually above you. You know, that's the worst feeling. So sort of nibble away at it, I think, is the best approach. In terms of metagaming, then, going back towards the Pokemon side, we've talked about mentality and timekeeping and stuff like that. These are all just general tips, really. But when you're actually looking at the tournament itself, be aware of what's performing right now. If you want to have a good indication of that, I did do a video yesterday of the top 10 decks in the format currently, based on tournament results on Play Limitless, and these are probably going to be the most popular archetypes in the Players' Cup 4, so I would certainly at least give it the once-over, look at some of those deck lists, and get an idea of what a typical list looks like. How many cards, how many energy cards does Mad Party play? How many, I don't know, Scoop Up Nets or healing cards does something like a Rapid Strike Urshifu play? How many Zigzagoon and how many Crushing Hammer is Eternatus playing right now? How many energy cards normally end up in a Pika-Rom deck? Like, are they playing tag switches? Are they playing this, that, or the other? What would you expect to be out of these sorts of archetypes? Because if you're playing around cards that are no longer relevant in archetypes, you're just doing yourself a disservice. You're playing around things that probably don't even exist in their deck. Now, that's not to say that people can't have spicy tech cards and will surprise you now and again in these tournament keys, and people will be playing wacky decks as well. As long as you get a picture of what the standard thing to play around is, you know that you're going to be pretty close to the mark. And whenever you see a card that does surprise you in a deck, like a Phoebe tech card in a Rapid Strike Urshifu, maybe that makes you think later down the line, if you get to late game situations, that maybe they've made a cut somewhere else. Maybe they're playing 1 less boss. Maybe they're playing 1 less Marnie. Maybe they're playing only 1 reset stamp instead of 2. Maybe there's no karate belt that I need to play around. These are the sorts of things that you can bear in mind, because you know the standard list, and you know if you see a card that isn't normal, that they've made a space somewhere. And what are those cards that sit on the fringes that don't make it into 100% of lists? Knowing that is going to be a really, really vital resource when it's not open deck lists for these 50 keys. Also, to some extent, you'll want to be aware of what matchups you want to be dodging and weaving, what matchups you want to be targeting and think will be very popular and can't really accept a loss to, and which ones you might want to tech for if you're committing to one deck and you're not happy with its current matchup spread. what you can do to try and make the most out of it and bring an unfavorable as close as possible without really invading your deck and taking out a bunch of consistency cards. You know, there's a fine line between teching and just ruining the consistency, and that's what I'll talk about now. Tech decisions are really, really important, and it's still a great skill in Pokemon to really pinpoint and learn. It's completely fine to play no thrills basic 60s and just take the matchup spread as it lies. That's not a problem. And playing the most consistent deck is something that I always will like applaud and say, yes, sometimes you got unlucky to face a like 5% of the metagame matchup kind of thing rather than teching. But also, when you are choosing to tech, make sure it does the most for you. You get the most bang for your buck out of one card space. Because you could think about this in a ton of different ways. Be aware, again, of what's being played is the first step. Then you think about what are the possible options. There's not just one tech card for one matchup. There is a variety of things. Take the example of ADP. If you are frustrated with Decidueye on the ladder and don't want to take that L, you could quite easily put in an Aegis/V into your list, and that Sonic Edge is going to churn through them like butter, and you're not going to have a single worry in the world against them. Whereas it's a completely dead card in essentially every other matchup. Slash is a 2-energy attack, so it can help out at knocking out things like Jirachi, Stellar Wish for 2 prizes, and it can help out against Mad Party. So that's the one thing that Aegis Slash can do, just with that slash attack. But typically, he is fodder in every matchup that isn't exactly the Decidueye matchup. However, if you chose to put in a second copy of Mawile, 1 being a standard number, you then improve a ton of other matchups. You're not having the 100% against Decidueye anymore, which H/Slash probably does, realistically. The Mawile, the second copy, gives you an extra chance to put more basic Pokemon into play, which gives you a secondary win condition against the Decidueye matchup, which certainly improves your numbers a little bit. And ADP is not like bad into Decidueye anyway. It's already a winnable matchup, even with 1 Mawile. So 2 copies would still put you favored. And that second copy of Mawile then improves your Eternatus matchup, which is typically one of your more difficult ones. And it would also improve, you know, your welding matchups, because you are oftentimes forcing more Crobats and Dedenates into play in the early game, which stops them to push for Welder, which can also be really, really beneficial. And at the same time, Wily Bite, again, 2-energy attack can come in handy in a ton of situations. Mawile is an often used attacker in the deck. So making these tech decisions, rather than saying, I will 100% Decidueye and waste a spot in my deck in every other matchup, I could instead play something like a Mawile, which does buffer my Desi matchup, but improves a ton of other matchups. It's why so often you see like a reset stamp being a tech card, because it's not exactly for one deck. A reset stamp can be good into a ton of different matchups, whereas like just putting in a psychic attacker or like a water attacker just to have some typing coverage is only really targeting one thing. So really think about your tech cards. Don't just take it as read that one card is going to be the right answer. Sometimes you can look at a ton of things that have been successful in lists previously, or identify a weakness of your deck and try and cover that weakness with a couple of options and see which one gets you the most value. Where can that one card make a big difference in multiple matchups? If it's something like an Aegislash, which is only helping one thing, I'd be very disincentivized to play it unless you expected the metagame to be 20+% of that matchup. So looking for wider techs is definitely something you need to bear in mind. Finally, prize checking. Prize checking is like a big thing for me. I don't know why people don't do it on PTCGO. It is so easy to prize check. And yeah, every card comes stacked for you in order. So it is literally the easiest thing in the world to check your prizes on PTCGO. It will take you no time at all. And this is literally a screenshot of my double screen that I use right now, where I have my deck list to the right of me on a spreadsheet, and then I just type out the 6 cards that are prized, because all you need to do is look for your Pokemon first, look for your trainers, look for your supporters, look for your energy. It's literally all arranged for you. It's so easy, and don't get caught out chasing a dream that isn't even in your deck because it's prized. You shouldn't be turn 4, 5 of the game looking for outs that don't exist. You will lose games like that. So this is where we go back to taking away distractions, focus on your game, have your deck list open so you know exactly what you're playing towards, especially if you are making changes, and be aware of what's in deck, what you can push for. Sometimes you can even take greedy prizes in situations where it may not be the ideal board state, knowing that you're taking a risk to take good cards out of your prize cards. If you're playing something like Pikarom, you know your Coco's prize. Taking an aggressive 1 prize, even for like a Bolt Storm on a Jirachi, might be more valid than just going for like Electrify plays, because you won't have any like recovery anyway with Dancing the Ancients, and you won't be able to build towards KOs. So sometimes taking risks to grab things off of prizes proactively is a great way to win games of Pokemon. So yeah, you're removing that element by not knowing exactly what is prized. So take that first turn. If you do have ball search cards, if you do have in this case an attack that searches the deck, know what's prized, jot them down. It's going to help you, and you can just delete them as you go and take those prize cards. Knowing what's in deck is super important. It's important in IRL as well. I am a bit more sympathetic to people IRL not doing their prize checking. I still try to do it as much as possible, and there's a weird, like, no one actually takes notes in Pokemon. It's a really weird thing. I'm surprised we don't, and I have taken notes in tournament before just for my prizes alone. It does take more than a minute, really, in real life, because not everything's quite as organized for you as it is so well done on PTCGO. So I can see why people don't do it on PTCGO, or sorry, IRL so much, but it is certainly a habit you should be doing in PTCGO. There's literally no reason not to. And then deck choice. Stick to what you know is a very simple concept. Don't be playing decks that you've picked up the day before, and you just think, oh, hey, I've just traded for these cards. I've finally got my last Urshifu to play this deck. Let's jam it. Stick to something that you're tried and tested with. You're happy with the mechanics of the deck. You're happy with the matchups. And that's going to do you much, much better. You're basically, you playing better, even if you're playing a worse deck, is going to outweigh you playing like the brand new shiny deck that you don't really know much about but think it's in a good meta placement, if that makes sense. So definitely stick to what you know is going to do you better than any like meta game choice, I would say. And be careful when you're bouncing around decks for the keys. I think being proficient with multiple decks is never a bad thing, and any of like the top 5 decks are all decent decks, and on different days you may want some variety. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but if you are jumping between decks, obviously you want to reset your... You definitely want to get up and try having a practice game with the new deck that you're jamming this time. Again, take a screenshot of your new deck list and put that on there so you can do your prize mapping and that sort of thing. And get in the mindset of playing that new deck and sort of what you need to be doing with it for sure. And I also think that settling on a 60, if you are going to jump around with deck lists, I think personally I would set my 60 before I started jamming any of the tournaments, and just trust that the 60 that you came up with is going to be like the most correct. And don't think that like, I lost a game to Decidueye, now I'm going to add in this Aegislash because that really sucked that I went out round 1. Or like, I prized 2 ADPs, I'm going to put a third one in so that that doesn't happen again to me. Or like, yeah, I whiffed an air balloon, so let's put a 4th copy in so I can get Electrify off on turn 2. Or I whiffed my VMAX, so I'm going to put in a 4th, or like I'm going to put in a 1 of Evo Incense into Eternatus so I have that extra out. Don't be results based. Just things will happen. It's an RNG game. Sometimes you'll get unlucky. Accept that, but know that like you're happy with your 60 going into these tournaments, and just trust yourself really as a deck builder that that's going to be the way to play it, and that's what you decided on. And don't feel bad when luck sometimes doesn't go your way for certain outs. So yeah, that's all I would say. And become a specialist is kind of the last point that I think it's going to be much better for you to just play one deck realistically, because then, like, even though I say don't learn on the job, you're naturally getting more and more experience. If you get 150 games in with a deck, you become very, very good with a deck. So if you are doing that, I would also advise that you play the same deck that you play for your tournament keys as the region finals, because again, you're throwing away essentially 100 plus games of a deck that you've now learnt inside and out in this format, and then just chucking that away to play something new and spicy. Even if you test that deck for 2 weeks, that's a lot less gameplay, competitive gameplay at the very least, that you've got in. You've got less reps in with that deck. So I think you should be making your deck choice now, and you should stick to that deck choice throughout the entire tournament until global finals when you make it there. Well done, you. So yeah, the final advice is good luck. I think there's literally like a ton of viable decks right now. All of these decks on the slide, I think, are super viable archetypes. So if you pick any one of these, I'm not going to have any gripes with you. You're not going to have any complaints of yourself, because these are all high tier contenders. and they all have decent consistency, reasonable matchup spreads. They are some of the most winningest decks in the game, so any of them is a good choice. And if you are going outside of the sort of top decks in the game as well, you're doing it at your own risk. That's completely fine. You do you. I'm not telling you to always play tier 1 or whatever. It's just a little bit easier when you play the best decks in the game. That's all I'll say. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow, and good luck with your tournament keys for Players Cup 4.